Welcome to Modern Psychedelics, where we explore the transformations made possible through intentional engagement with psychedelics. This podcast will help you integrate high consciousness living into the everyday and deepen the work ignited by altered states. You can expect balanced and grounded conversations around therapeutic, ceremonial, and recreational containers. My name is Lana Pribic, your host and guide. I am a 3-time certified professional life coach, and I work with people who want to integrate higher levels of consciousness into their daily lives so they can feel more peace, fulfillment, and connection. After all, our time here on Earth is so brief, so let's make sure we're really living. The song you hear is called Lost Horizon by Peace Sign. All right, let's journey. Hello everyone, I am sitting down to record a solo episode for the first time in quite a while for you. I have taken some time off of podcasting for the summer, as I tend to do, but it feels good to be sitting here recording this episode on discerning fear from danger when working with psychedelics. And I'm really excited about this topic. I think it's a good one. I don't think anyone's really talked about it before. And we're really going to get clear on how to know if you're navigating fear, how to know if you're navigating danger, and why it's important to know the difference. But before we get into that today, I want to share with you a little bit about our sponsor for today's episode, Happy Mushrooms. So something that I believe is very important for anyone working intentionally with plant medicine is having your own safe supply at a reasonable cost. I'm all about the psychedelic sovereignty, and it's actually a lot more accessible than you might think. And yes, I am talking about your favorite mind-bending mushrooms here, which is why I'm genuinely thrilled to tell you about Happy Mushrooms. It's a totally done-for-you grow kit that makes cultivating your own medicine incredibly easy. No spores, no expensive equipment, no lab setup. You don't even have to open the bag. You get the kit in the mail. You just put the kit somewhere with ambient light and good air circulation, and you just let nature do its thing. And then in about 3 weeks, you'll be harvesting your own mushrooms, up to 56 grams or 2 full ounces. That's over a $500 value from a simple, discreet, ready-to-grow kit. So whether you're deepening your healing journey or you simply want more sovereignty in your practice, this is such a powerful way to just, take the path into your own hands. And there's nothing technical here with Happy Mushrooms. No touching, no spraying, no stress, no syringes, just patience that's awarded with abundance. So if you've been curious about growing your own supply, this is your sign. Fall is coming up. It's a great time to start growing and harvesting. Visit happymushrooms.com to learn more and get started. I'll link that down for you in the show notes. And they were kind enough to offer our listeners here 15% off with the code LANA15. So that's happymushrooms.com and LANA15 at checkout to get your stress-free, ready-to-grow mushroom kit. So I hope you enjoy that. Definitely send me a message if you guys try out some Happy Mushrooms. And one last housekeeping note, I actually just recorded a solo episode inside of the subscribers only channel. So if you're listening and you're interested in becoming a subscriber here on Spotify, what that will grant you for $4.99 per month is a bonus episode every month. So for the month of July, I actually released a little life update, a very exciting and juicy and fun life update, all based on how this period of integration after Iboga is going for me. There's a lot of beautiful things that I share in there. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. Go subscribe. You also get ad-free listening with those episodes. So you just get the episodes, no ads, no intro, no nothing. So if that's something that interests you and that you would enjoy and you would like to support the show for just $4.99 a month, please become a subscriber. Again, I'll leave that for you in the show notes. Okay, so let's get into the topic for today's episode. So the inspiration to do an episode about fear versus danger when it comes to working with psychedelics was inspired from my coach training and my coaching philosophy. Specifically, a concept or a discipline called fearlessness that I teach about in my coaching program, my 6-month coaching program. And fearlessness is this idea that fear is something that's created in the mind. Fear is something that only exists in the mind. And in order to become fearless, all we have to do is realize that there actually is nothing to fear. And of course, this sounds so easy, and there's a whole process of coming to terms with this and releasing anything that's holding us back from truly embracing this, which can be done in something like my coaching container. But to give you guys the overarching information, that's what I want to do in today's episode. So fear it's a projection. It's not a present moment truth, and it's not about what's happening. It's about what might happen or about what could happen. It usually isn't what happens though. And that's exactly why this topic is so crucial when working with psychedelics, because before coming into a medicine space, we're like, the fears are just flying all over the place. And that's perfectly natural and perfectly normal. And we'll talk about that in a second. But it's important to know that fear is very different from danger. Whereas fear is natural or normal, danger is not. Fear is something that we can work with, we can invite in, we can be with, we can examine, whereas danger is something that we definitely want to avoid when working with psychedelics. So, what is fear? I already mentioned that fear is a mental and emotional projection into a potential negative future. Fear is rooted in anticipation, uncertainty, and a perceived loss of control. The way that IPEC likes to look at fear, and IPEC is where I did my coach training, by the way, coach training that's very beautifully aligned with the things and concepts that psychedelics teach us. But they look at fear as false evidence appearing real. So fear in a lot of ways is rooted in false evidence, things that are not necessarily truth, things that are not true. And you can feel fear without there being any actual danger. I'm going to repeat that. You can feel fear, and that fear can be very valid even when there is no actual danger. Okay. So fear is natural. It's extremely common when approaching medicine work. And it's your psyche's way of sensing that something big might change. It's your psyche's way of wanting to protect what it knows, wanting to protect its patterns, wanting to protect the neural pathways that it's worked a long time to build. Okay, so that's a little bit about fear. Let's talk about danger now. Danger is real. Danger is real and present harm or risk. Danger could also be potential for real harm or risk. When it comes to working with psychedelics, danger usually stems from external conditions being unsafe. So, danger can be usually a physical thing, something that may lead to death or harm physically. But danger can also be psychological, and it can even be energetic. So, psychological danger, we'll get into that in a second, is very real when working with psychedelics. And so can energetic danger be. And I think when it comes to differentiating fear from physical danger, it's kind of easy to do. But when it comes to differentiating fear from psychological or energetic or even spiritual danger, that's where we might start to feel a little bit confused. And that's when our fear and stress response can really start to go on high alert. And so we need to be able to make this distinction, because when we mistake fear for danger, we avoid opportunities for transformation, right? If we treat our fear as danger, then it'll hold us back, right? And when we mistake danger for fear, we put ourselves at real risk, and we definitely don't want to be doing that. So your job, your responsibility as a psychedelic explorer, as a medicine worker, your job is to discern which one you're dealing with and to take the aligned action necessary to keep yourself safe, and as a result, keep the space safe, and as a result, continue to allow humanity to explore and work with these powerful medicines. So this is big stuff, you guys. Let's get into some example of what fear versus danger looks like in psychedelic work. So we'll talk about fear first, and then we'll talk about danger. So fear, again, it's more internal, it's based in the mind, it exists in the mind. So common fears when working with psychedelics. Yeah, the most common one that if you don't have, you should be concerned is fear of confronting the unknown. Fear of confronting the unknown. This usually shows up as fear of learning something about ourselves that may be very shocking and uncomfortable. It may be fear of learning something about the world that you operate in. It may be a fear of learning something about the perspective that you hold and how you're seeing the world. That might be a challenge for you to navigate. There can also be a fear of losing control during a ceremony, losing control of your mind, allowing your mind to wander into the places and spaces that in waking, sober, normal life, your psychological defenses are like up and ready to guard. And nothing is getting through that. And then all of a sudden we take psychedelics and the psyche is softened and we, in a sense, lose control. I really do believe that to gain control over our lives and our happiness and our purpose, sometimes we need to lose a little bit of control. I think losing a little bit of control in the right setting, in the right way, with the right preparation, with the right mindset is incredibly beneficial for moving forward in life. So this fear of losing control can be very big and scary for a lot of us who are control freaks. Hello, I am a recovering control freak. I get it. It can be scary to think about being in a space where you don't have a grasp, a hold as much as you usually would on where your mind goes. That can be really scary. And it's very valid. And I think probably 100% of people who are doing psychedelics, at least for the first time, have this fear. I know I still have this fear. But working through this fear has allowed me to gain some of the most important and foundational insights into myself and into my life when doing psychedelics. So as we're talking about these fears, I really just want to keep driving home that having these fears is incredibly normal. And it's kind of weird if you don't have them. Footwear has been an issue for me since the dawn of time. Okay, since the dawn of my time, but honestly, humans were literally walking barefoot at the dawn of time. And you know, maybe they were onto something. I'm an active girl who loves being outside and I want to look cute still, but fashion oriented shoes, they make my feet hurt and they don't go the distance. Earth runners have truly solved all of my soul's problems. Their earthing sandals are not only super comfortable, grippy, and mimic barefoot living, they're also actually pretty cute and stylish in a minimal aesthetic kind of way. I still rock my original pair of Circadian Adventure sandals from 2 years ago, and I've got a fresh pair of their Primal Lifestyle model for my trip to Mexico coming up, and for all the hikes and music festivals right around the corner this summer. Since I started wearing Earth Runners 2 years ago, my feet have never felt better. I can walk long distances, dance for hours, and my feet just don't hurt the way they used to. My feet are healing, and I'm honestly obsessed. Made with Vibram outsoles for a sure-footed experience, these sandals are perfect for hiking, running, water adventures, dancing, and reconnecting with the earth. Honestly, sometimes I even wear them in the city streets, which is why I went with the lifestyle primal pair this time. The copper and stainless steel earthing system grounds you to the earth's EMFs and help you bring your body into its natural balance. For me, the ultimate integration is living in alignment with the earth, and Earth Runners help me do that with every step. Free your feet and rewild your soul with Earth Runners. Visit earthrunners.com and use the code LANA for 10% off. Seriously, run, don't walk over to earthrunners.com and use LANA at checkout for 10% off, and you can thank me later. There's another fear that people have around like being too much, crying in front of others, feeling their emotions, feeling themselves. That can be really scary if we have not been around environments and groups of people that have made it feel safe for us to express ourselves, for us to feel ourselves, for us to really go deeply into who we are, right? There's also a fear that you might see or remember something frightening or scary. This kind of relates to the fear of the unknown, right? There's the fear of judgment from others, right? The fear of judgment from families, partners, friends, society, if they were to find out that you were doing this work. You taking drugs to feel better? That's kind of weird, right? There's that whole narrative that creates this fear. There can also be a fear of judgment from the group, your facilitators, right? This fear of judgment is really pointing towards the places and spaces that we're not yet confident and comfortable within ourselves. But this is a very real fear. Even the fear of judgment within the group setting and doing this work with a group of people and allowing yourself to unfold and be vulnerable in a group setting can be really scary for some people. Of course, there's the fear of ego death. There's the fear of meeting your shadow, of confronting some really dark places within yourself. And these are all valid. And again, they are all things that live in the mind. There's nothing real about these fears, but they do impact how we show up. And I think because of the nature of psychedelic work, it being so open to all of these fears coming in, just because it is intense and different, I think this is exactly why working with a coach who is skilled in navigating these terrains before and after is a really grounded approach to working through some of these fears. In fact, in my Iboga prep and integration course, I have an entire lesson on managing expectations and navigating fear because it's very common. But these are all things that are coachable. These are all things that we can work with, that we can address, that we can prepare for. We can go into a psychedelic experience fully aware of these fears and fully present and accepting of them and still go into this experience despite our fears. What I'm trying to say is that it's not uncommon to go into a psychedelic experience full of fear. It's actually pretty normal. And we can also lower the intensity of those fears during the prep phase so that yes, they're still there. Yes, you're still present with them, but there's a peace with them. There's an acceptance, there's an allowance, there's a being with them, there's a learning from them. So we can learn to relate and be with our fears in a way that's actually empowering rather than it being something that, you know, maybe holds us back from having the experience or holds us back from being fully as present as we could be to the experience. Let's talk about danger now. So, what does danger look like when working with psychedelics? Well, obviously, attending a ceremony without medical screening while on contraindicated medications, not disclosing your medications or your full medical history to your facilitator. These are all like danger. Yeah, we don't want to be doing that. This is stuff that can have severe consequences, even death. That's danger. That does not live in the mind. That is real and can have very serious implications, right? So this is something that is a shared responsibility between you and your facilitators and your medical provider, right? Ensuring that you are medically cleared and safe for whatever medicine you are working with. And each medicine is different. Each medicine has different contraindications and different medical screenings that are required. But this is like the baseline of safety and working to mitigate danger in a psychedelic experience. That's an easy one. You guys already know that, okay? Another way that danger can present itself, and this is more about psychological danger, is that a facilitator isn't trauma informed and may not be prepared to not re traumatize you during the process. And this doesn't even have to be about re traumatizing, it can also just be about not having the capacity to hold a psychologically and emotionally safe container. This is all about the soft skills in a facilitator. Like, yes, the safety and the screening and the medical and the dosing and all of that is very important, but a huge part of facilitation is the soft skills, the way that you speak to people, the way that you make people feel, the way that you make them feel safe, the way that you allow them to express, the way that you encourage them to go into themselves. If a facilitator doesn't have these skills that go actually beyond being trauma informed, but also into the interpersonal skills of creating a safe space and container, this can actually be dangerous psychologically because it can make something that's already not good worse. So if you're going to do psychedelics to treat your depression and you're not held in a way that allows you to feel safe and held and supported, that can make your depression worse. And I've seen this happen before. I've been at retreats where this has happened before. And so it's really important to recognize that psychological and emotional danger is also a factor that we want to look out for, and just really vetting your provider, your facilitator on their soft skills, recognizing how you feel in front of them, actually spending some time with them, at least over the phone or over Zoom before having an experience with them, is a way to mitigate this type of danger. Related to more medical and safety things, a ceremony can be hosted by someone with no experience or very little experience in safety protocols that are required. I know that a big part of my audience is interested in Iboga as a medicine, and that is one that requires the highest safety standards. And so there's a lot of very excited, well meaning people out there who are jumping into serving something like Iboga, and the safety protocols that, like, yes, they can be written on paper and followed, but a lot of them also take a lot of like being present and hosting retreats to be like fully covered with those safety protocols. So that is one thing that I really want you guys to be careful with. Working with someone who isn't like fresh out of their initiation in Gabon, or like just did a couple ayahuasca ceremonies as a helper. Like, we don't want these people serving us medicine. Okay, this is very important. So keep an eye out for that. And then there's also a danger in unsafe substance dosages or purity, issues with sourcing medicine that isn't what people say it is, things being added. Perhaps you're being served the medicine you consented to, and then when you're under the influence of that medicine, you're asked to consume another type of medicine. Like, we just want to be very clear before a retreat or a psychedelic experience exactly what we're going to be consuming and what we're consenting to. And we want to make sure that our facilitators are not asking us to consume different substances that we hadn't discussed in a sober state. Does that make sense? So for this, just look out for facilitators that are not educated in the pharmacology of the substances they're serving, and also the ethics around serving medicine and putting someone in an altered state. So I think that's enough examples of what danger looks like as well. So again, danger is more of that external risk or that real risk. It can be psychological as well. I know that I've given you guys quite a few tips in talking about fear versus danger, about how to navigate both. But to address danger, to summarize, vet your facilitators, ask about safety protocols and medical screening. Do not bypass red flags. Trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. Your intuition and your soul can already sense that you're about to enter this space, this altered space. Trust that. And then also choosing either licensed or ethical, experienced providers, ideally someone that you know has seen, someone that you can trust, someone that you can spend time with. And to address fear, we want to recognize that it's a natural part of transformation, growth, and healing. And what we can do to work with fear is to bring awareness to it first. We can talk it through in prep coaching. We can use tools like breath work, journaling, intention setting to be with our fear, to acknowledge our fear, to witness it. And we can also work with a coach to transform those fears. We can work with a coach to release some of those fears while also knowing that the fears are natural and real, and we can just witness it and be with it and recognize that it's just a part of our psyche's software, right? So I hope that's helpful. Obviously, as a prep and integration coach, I am here to tell you that prep coaching with someone like myself can help you distinguish fear from danger. And it allows you to work with a guide who can help you meet your fear with curiosity and responsibility and openness rather than resistance that makes you just want to shut down and not even do the work that your heart and your soul want you to do. And in coaching, we also do this thing where we neutralize fear by understanding its message, by listening to it, and we build the tools together to move through it consciously. So if you're feeling fear as you approach psychedelic work, good. It means you care. It means that you're ready. It means that you are on the precipice of something real and transformational. And that's scary. I get it. If you guys have been listening to my show for years, you know that I get it. And if you are wanting extra support, get in touch with me, especially if you're working with Iboga. I do have an Iboga prep and integration program for those who are preparing to work with this master plant for psycho-spiritual purposes. I would love to help you out with that. And then I also have a 6-month one-on-one coaching program. This is my more high ticket offer. This is my deep offer for people who are looking for a coach to walk through not just fears around psychedelic work with them, but also fears around any transition, transformation, or change that you're making in your life. So I work with a lot of artists, creatives, people who are wanting to bring more creativity and flow into their lives and really find that alignment between their heart and their external world. So that's 2 options for you there, the 6-month one-on-one coaching and then the Iboga prep and integration program, where we will work through lots of fears and make sure that we're not walking into danger. We can walk through fear together and we can walk making sure we're not walking through danger together. So if you're interested, you can check out more on my website, modernpsychedelics.net. There's a coaching tab there. I'll also leave links for both of those programs in the show notes. If you're interested, just fill out an application form and then book a discovery call with me to get on a call to see if I can help you and if it's a good fit. And I will tell you if it's not, I promise. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Let me know how you deal with fear and how you work with danger with psychedelics. You can get in touch on Instagram at Modern Psychedelics. Leave a comment here on Spotify. I love to hear from you. And I hope you're easing into the fall season with grace and love and ease. And I'm just so excited for this season. I really do think that this is the best time of the year. August, September, October in Ontario, where I live, is just chef's kiss. So I hope that you are as excited about this upcoming season as I am. And I invite you to get in touch with me if you feel a sense of alignment and if you feel that I may be able to accelerate and elevate your process back to yourself, because that's really what it is. Not here to tell you what to do, just here to remind you to go back to yourself because you know all of the answers. So without a further ado, I will catch you guys in the next episode. It's so good to be back on the mic with you, and I hope you take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to and supporting the show. To stay in touch, sign up for my mailing list, which can be found in the show notes or on modernpsychedelics.net. If this episode sparked something within, please let me know by leaving a review of the Modern Psychedelics podcast on Apple and Spotify. This really helps to share these messages with those who need them, which is the whole reason why I do what I do. And if you haven't already, come join the ongoing conversation over on Instagram with other beautiful souls. We have an incredible and conscious community over at the handle Modern Psychedelics. And don't forget that the work begins after you come back down to earth. And I'm standing shoulder to shoulder, doing it with you.